Hey, gummy guy, how about grabbing me a soda?
And why would I do that?
Because we're, you know, friends. Super friends?
We're not friends. You don't even know my name.
Sure I do. It's, hey, Blacktricity. What's our friend's name here?
You know you call this the Super Friends, but really none of us is feeling the love.
Is that true?
How can we put this?
Here we go.
Super friends is what we're called, but really that is bogus.
At best we say we'll work colleagues no matter how you coach us. There's really only 3 of you, the rest of us are tokens. Robots, fish, and aliens, a female hocus pocus.
Dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum, dibby-dibby-dum-dum. If super friends are what we are, then come and help me move.
I asked if you could feed my cat. You left to save the Louvre.
Can you drive me to the airport? You said best to call a cab. So how are we the Super Friends?
Here, let me take a stab. Dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum, dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum. Super Friends is just a name on Facebook. You won't poke us.
It's all about the union dues, which really kind of suck us.
Your members change so frequently, commitment is a sham.
You say you don't charge minors, but then you bill Shazam!
Hey! Dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum-dum, dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum.
Super Friends are there for you. They've always got your back.
Yeah, clearly you said nothing when I went out dressed like that.
I was really strapped for cash and things were really, really tight. But asking you for money seems to be your kryptonite.
Dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum, dibby-dibby-di, dibby-dibby-dum-dum. Sure, we've saved the world and all, plus all the other Earths.
But sit through Twilight with me and you'll really prove your worth.
That's what Super Friends are for, sings Elton John Jones.
If only you would change the name, this place would feel like home.
If only you would change the name, this place would feel like home.
Okay, well, how about the Justice League?
I'm good with that.
I like that.
Great. Hey, Justice League, how about grabbing me a soda?
How do you like, huh? Not so far!
Hi, my name is Doug,
Hi, Doug.
and I was poked in the belly.
Ever had your hands full and thought, how am I gonna hold more stuff? Well, worry no more, now that there's Gripples, an extra set of hands that adhere to your chest.
The creatures of the forest seek revenge.
Because they all coming back as zombies.
So if you like ponies,
How much do you like ponies? This much.
prepare to be
What is your name?
Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan. You must become the Green Care Bear.
Holy cow, Captain Marvel. Do you want to swap lunches?
You need the Shazamwich. Not a problem for SpongeWow.
Make for yourself, it's burning!
SpongeWow and Muppet, available where unsuspecting kids characters hang out.
This is one small fart from me, and one giant fart also from me.
Back to Attorney with a Booger.
You have the most beautiful booger I've ever seen.
Really? Well, you've got a pretty hot booger yourself.
And now a celebrity endorsement for Alfred E. Newman.
This world can be a dark place, but ever since I was a kid, I knew I could always rely on Alfred.
E. Newman.
If you ask me if there's someone out there who's got my back, I'd say it's Alfred.
E. Newman.
It's The Tonight Show with your host, Jay Lino.
Thank you. So, a big story in the news today. Thundera was attacked by an army of lizard people, soulless beasts, and an ancient withered corpse. And by that I mean the Kardashians are in town. Thundercats, hey-o!
Just stick out your tongue and roll it. Then wiggle your tail and show that you got moves like Jabba. I like to move like Jabba. We got to move like Jabba.
But sadly, there are no positions open at the moment. So, when do I start?
I make good friends most everywhere. Hug and smile, I skip and share. Feel the love my Care Bear shares! Can I take this thing off now?
That is some attorney with a booger. Wow, that's loud. All right, I'm going to start off by saying I wasn't supposed to be the moderator, but it's still going to be great, even though I wasn't supposed to be the moderator. So first I'm going to bring out Mark Marek. Mark Marek is one of the producers on Mad and also the animation director on Mad. Come on out, Mark. Second is Dana Snyder, and Dana's one of our voice actors, and he's also, you might know him for the voice of Master Shake on Aqua Teen, or from Chowder or Adventure Time. Next is Marley Halpern Grazer, who's one of the writers on Mad. And last, but certainly not least, is Sergio Aragones, and I don't even have to explain who Sergio is. Yeah. All right. I think the chocolate to the left up here. All right, so the first thing that I figure that we talk about is, you know, Mad clearly is a fantastic magazine that a lot of us grew up with, and some of the, as a matter of fact, the show might be some people's first experience with Mad, but I'd like to ask the panel here, once they're done pouring their waters and everything, what was their first experience with Mad, the magazine? So Mark, why don't you start?
I'm eating.
Shouldn't have had those chocolates, Mark.
Actually, when I thought back, the first thing that I remember about Mad was I had an older cousin who was like the cool older cousin, and I was over at his house one day. He said, "You got to check this out," and he had a little flexi disc. I don't know if you guys remember this. If you're my age, you might remember
Does everybody know what a flexi disc is?
Let's start with
No.
who knows what a
All right,
record
a flexi
player
disc
is.
hold on.
Start with that one first.
It's a flexible plastic record that they used to insert in the magazine. So when you buy the magazine, once in a while, it would come with this record, and one of them was, well, I'm sure you'll tell the story.
Well, and it's a promotional thing. It comes in free, and it plays on a regular turntable. We all know a turntable is used.
Nobody knows what that is either, Mark. So let's keep going.
You know, there's a big horn in front of it, and it was called "It's a Gas," and we haven't really gone that much farther with the show.
Sergio, do you remember that from when you were at the magazine?
Very well.
It was based on a song that I can't remember, like Tequila, da 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 da, and it, but that's what I remember, and then I started
So it was a
reading the
song
magazine.
that was mostly made up of burps.
Yes, and like I say, we haven't changed that much.
No, keeping it classy all these years. Dana, what about you? What was your first experience?
I had a cooler, younger cousin, because I was dorkier, I guess, who gave me like just a humongous box of Mad magazines. And then we went all the way through and put all the fold-ups all over my walls, which are awesome, but then people would walk in and some of them were weird looking. But I only put one side, so you could like, oh, welcome to my Mad fold-in gallery. And like, oh, I'll try this one. Oh, a face of from a factory to a face or whatever.
Marley?
I didn't have a lot of visitors after that.
Showing my young age, my first experience with Mad was Simpsons references of Mad. And so I realized that I should check Mad out because if it was good enough for Bart Simpson, then I guess I should be reading it also. So like so much of I have a better I read Mad and I know Mad, but I have a better sense of Simpson parodies of what Mad would parody even more than X. So I'm like so many steps removed.
Sergio, you clearly have some experiences with Mad.
I grew up in Mexico, and suddenly I get this magazine. I didn't speak any English, but the art was something that I have never seen, and I had to follow my friends. This was in high school, for them to translate for me, and they will run away because I had them for hours trying to translate a magazine. And I never dreamed that I could ever work for Mad, because I thought it was like heaven, you know, that something like that. And when I came to the States trying to make a living as a cartoonist, every place I went, everybody says, these are too crazy, you should go to Mad. I know Mad doesn't have pantomime humor. And in those times, no magazines had that many, but I had to follow what all these editors said, and I went to Mad, and fortunately, they loved the stuff, and I've been there for 50 years now.
Yeah. So one of the great things about the magazine and also the show is how kind of pop culture relevant the show is, and the magazine, but especially the show, because the show, how often does the show, you guys do one every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so, right? Turn around the new show?
Yeah, well, we get asked that question a lot, like how fast can you turn an episode around? And the thing is, there's so many small bits of different lengths, 3 minutes being like the longest. We can do a 5-second piece of animation in 3 or 4 days, but I'd say end to end, it probably takes 5 or 6 weeks to put a whole episode, 11-minute episode together. But we turn it around very quickly, which is good because it keeps it very fresh. You know, we have a topical section.
Right.
And we always feel like, even up to the online, when this thing is shipped, we can always bring in something that just happened. I mean, 32-ounce cola's been banned or whatever.
Right.
We can throw that in there somewhere, which is nice because it keeps the show really fresh.
And one thing that's great, I mean, with the internet, is we can watch trailers and behind-the-scenes information, and we can sometimes parody a movie that hasn't come out yet, so that our parody comes out the week the movie comes out, basically, which makes us look cool. Like, it's cool when, my favorite reaction is when we have a parody and the internet reaction is, how did they do that? That movie just came out. Like, that's cool when we can do that.
That's us saying, how did we do
that? Yeah, that's us saying, how did we do that?
We're amazing.
How did we do it?
But the pop culture element is really important for the show. So Marley and Mark, how do you guys absorb all this kind of media? Are you constantly watching television? Are you constantly...
I don't watch any television. I think Marley...
That's great, Mark. All right, Marley?
Yeah, I mean, what we do in the writer's room is we watch trailers, and we look at lists of what movies are coming out, and we look at what shows are popular, and we see what people are talking about, and we just pitch tons and tons and tons of ideas. I'm like, okay, well, we have to do Spider-Man, we have to do How I Met Your Mother, and
What
we
a
just
job,
and
right?
we
You
just
just watch
figure out
TV.
what we're gonna do, and then we give.
That's right, kids. So just keep watching television, because when you get older, you could work for television. So especially all the kids out, it's important.
And
Important
then,
to keep watching.
And then we turn in all our pitches to the head writer, and then he tells us that most of those aren't jokes, most of those just rhyme, which is not good enough. It can't that's the secret of Mad. It can't just rhyme. It has to be a joke and also rhyme. It has to be both things. And then he tells us which ones are not insane, and we write those ones. And then then we give it to Mark, who has to figure out what these shows are because he doesn't watch television.
Yeah.
And then they animate them.
A lot of spelling corrections and
yeah, a lot of spelling.
Poor sentence structure
There's
corrections.
the viewer tank too, though, with like the people that they're like hooked up to machines in a big pool that are just forced to watch television. They're like that. What's the
Minority Report?
The Tom Cruise movie where they're like in that thing, and then just every once in a while the Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. The big tank on the ranch at WB.
That's the big difference between the magazine and the show. The magazine stays there. So when people buy the magazine and read it, if they don't understand the joke, they can go back and get it and go back later and read the article again. But when you see the show, it has to be so clear. The humor has to be there. And the caricature has to look exactly like it should be. So it's almost impossible to do a good show, and that's the great advantage of Mad. And the success of it is that you don't have to go back to understand the joke. It is there on your face, and it's funny. With a magazine, we have the leeway to go back to it if you don't get it. It's what they're saying here. Let's go back, you know. But you
That's
guys
how
are amazingly clear.
When I was young, when I read the Spies, you know, you read them once and say, wait, how did this guy get it? And then you'd have to go back again and look at it. So that was the great thing, though, because you look at the magazine over and over and over. So
I got to ask this, though. Who got the Mad Men part of that Spy versus Spike? See,
all the kids got it. 'Cause the kids are huge Mad Men fans. So Dana, you come into the recording studio at Warner Brothers, and how many different voices per show would you usually do?
Probably 3 of them.
3 per show.
That's right.
And so ranging from what? Like you have to do impersonations and...
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's what's fun about it, though, because you don't know what it's going to be every time you go in there.
So what are some characters that you've done some memorable?
Memorable, probably zero. Anyone? I did the what's his nuts? Plastic Man.
Plastic Man in that
the
one,
problem
right?
is, like some guys, you know, they'll like, hey, I'm got a super voiceover guy, but my voice always like I can go this guy, but then I'll be this guy. Those are two different characters in my world. Where some people say no.
We like the first guy. We use the first guy a lot.
We did, what's the, yeah, what do you want? You want A or B? And then from there you can have a fast A or a slow A. Yeah. The Umpire Diaries.
Right, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was another voice. That was a C.
That was
rarely
a C
heard
voice,
C.
yeah.
You. Yeah, like that.
Great.
Oh, it was. Yeah, but it's fun because you never get bored of it. You know, you do. And sometimes if it's hard or difficult for some reason, like at that thing they showed, usually it's about 45 minutes you're in there, right? Keep it down, we're trying to talk over here. Like thrown off, our pupils are being burned by these spotlights here. Also, my glasses are acting like magnifying glasses, literally burning my retinas. But yeah, it's like 45 minutes, but that dig it, dig it, dig it, that song they sang in the beginning took like 45 minutes to do it because Kevin, who does all the scratch stuff before, is the fastest speaker in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm like super slow. He's like, hey, we're going to go down there and do the thing. And then they're like, all right, now you do it in your voice C. You can't ever do it.
Yeah.
Like, too slow. Try it again. Did that even answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. That's fine, whatever. I liked it. That was fine.
Yeah.
So Sergio, why don't you talk a little bit? I know it's interesting to everybody here, and especially me, talking about what it was like to work at MAD in the real heyday of MAD in the 60s and 70s.
Well, the great advantage, I'm talking in the 60s, many of you weren't born then, everything was in New York. Everything was happening. The advertising agencies were there, all the magazines, everything. So if you wanted to succeed, no matter where you lived, you had to go to New York. So at the office of MAD, you met the other cartoonists. They will go there to deliver the work. You met the editors. And eventually, you knew your colleagues because everybody had to be there. MAD magazine was kind of crazy because it was very different. Our publisher, Bill Gaines, who was a man with a big beard, and who created MAD, well, with Harvey Kurtzman and then with Feldstein, they did the magazine. But he decided to take all of us to trips all over the world with everything paid. So every year, for 40 years, we went to Europe, to Africa, safaris, to Tahiti.
We're never going to do that. We'll never do that.
So, and you have the other cartoonists as roommates. So Jack Davis was my roommate in Switzerland. El Jaffe was my roommate in Tahiti. And like these colleagues that are now your brothers, your friends that you know extremely well. And through 50 years, it becomes your family, which it will never happen again because how rare it will be that the publisher takes all the guys to things like this. So it was a unique experience. One of the trips was to Mexico, and I organized it. So these guys went to my home, and my mother cooked for all the guys at mine. You know? She made a paella over there in the garden, and it started raining a little, and Jack Davis, a Southern gentleman, there he was with an umbrella, covering my mother, you know, and I was taking pictures. That's a picture hanging in my studio of Jack Davis, which is about 7 feet tall, and my mother was about 4 feet. So there's this giant man with an umbrella. And his memories over and over from, I could spend the whole panel talking about it. But it was a great family. And it's continue to be. Jeff is still alive, and he's 92.
Right.
Jeff is in the 80s, and I'll be there soon, but not so soon. But so it was great.
So, Pete, we're going to Europe right after this?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to leave right from here.
Good.
So I'll meet you guys at the airport.
Besides, when the year had been good year, they will give us cash to spend.
Wow.
How,
Nice. Boy, those were different times, huh?
For the days of yesterday.
Well, I think what we're going to do actually is Marley and Mark are going to maybe take you through like how we actually go through one of the bits that we do, the sketches on the show, starting from the script into the animatic stage, a little kind of peek behind the scenes on the production. But one of the great things before we get into that is that I love about the show. It's kind of like a little animation film festival in every episode. There's so many different styles. There's stop motion, and there's 2D animation, and there's collage animation, and that's one of the things, like the magazine, when you would turn the page, there'd be, like Sergio said, there'd be one of his marginal illustrations, and there'd be a Jack Davis, and then a George Woodbridge, or a Don Martin. So for me, growing up, it was like going to art school, looking at the magazine every week. It was like, and I would copy the drawings. Actually, this is my first experience in Mad. This is an embarrassing story, but it's not like I'm in front of an audience or anything. So, but Sergio did a parody of superheroes, appropriately enough, and I copied one of them and I brought it to school, and I didn't intend to pass it off as my own. But when I saw all the amount of attention I got, I didn't offer it up that I didn't draw it myself. And then like a week later, some kid came in and said, "This is from this magazine." And then, wow, I was super embarrassed.
You want to hear embarrassment? I do pantomime cartoons, and one day Al Jaffe comes with a book that he gives me called Tall Tales, which I swear I never saw before, and more than 10 cartoons that I've done, he had done 20 years before. In the same book. And today, after 50 years, I'm still telling him that, no, I didn't copy him. That is just a wonderful parallel mind.
Great minds think alike. So that is, one of the great things about the show. So Marley, why don't you start, talk a little bit about the writing, and then we'll give it to Mark, and he has a little bit of a presentation. We can walk you through some of the process.
Like I had said, especially because we're going to show movie parody stuff mostly, is you look at the movies that are coming out, and you look at the movies that you think we have to do Spider-Man, and so you just pitch a bunch of stuff until you come up with something like The Amazing Spider-Medea, which is what we picked. So that's what we're actually doing. So look forward to that. It's not as, like I said, it can't just rhyme. It has to make some kind of sense. And the best thing is when you find two properties that actually do dovetail together really well. Like coming up, we're going to do Men in Black to the Future, because we figured as long as Will Smith is traveling through time, why can't he get hit by a DeLorean? And you think about it, and you're like, oh wow, I just thought Back in Black rhymed, but actually I'm a secret genius. And that's fun when you trick yourself into thinking that. Right.
For the magazine. You haven't come out yet.
No, not yet. You could beat us. But you heard about our fast turnaround time. It's a race now. So we try to come up with a mashup that makes sense, and then we try to make as little. Once we've justified that it makes sense, then we try to make it as crazy as we possibly can. And then we turn it over to the artist, and they have to draw it. And they have to draw anything we write, and sometimes they hate that.
And I realized during... Is this on?
Maybe.
I
can hear you.
I realized we kind of take it for granted, but we have access to so much reference material. When I get a script, a lot of times maybe I'm not quite sure what we're referencing. I'm going to show a bit here. It's called Guy Pearce Gets Punched in the Face. And it's actually based on that movie Lockout that's coming this summer. I don't think you saw this.
I haven't seen it, no.
But, it's great. I can download or get access to photos, or in this case, the actual movie clip, and
What
play
are you doing
it.
down there?
I'm just itchy.
All right.
Well, and it's
and
true.
once I saw that, it fell into place what I should do with this script. Even though the script itself, Guy Pearce getting punched in the face, is pretty funny.
Well, and that also, like you said about the internet, like we just watched the trailer for this movie and we're like, wow, this whole trailer is him getting punched in the face. Let's just basically use the real trailer, but say the movie's called Guy Pearce gets punched in the face.
That sounds like a good movie to me.
Yeah, it does sound like a good movie.
It's going to be great.
Before you do a final animation, we do this kind of rough version of the animation. We call it an animatic.
But
You're halfway to being an animator.
Yeah, we require our animatics to be a little tighter than most. A lot of audio, the timing is all worked out. Kevin does a great scratch track. And if it's not singing for us in the animatic, we're in trouble.
Why don't we do some? You guys want to do some questions?
Sure.
All right. Is there any questions in the audience?
There
Or
was the Dark Knight teaser, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll end on the Dark Knight teaser. How's that?
Oh, okay.
All right. First of all, is there any people that actually work on the show here in the audience?
We got Eric over
One.
there. Hey, Eric.
Great job.
What are you doing here? You should be working.
Yeah, it should be working.
That was
All
a
right.
trick
Is there any
question.
questions? Yes. He's gonna come up to the mic there. Yeah.
I know Alfred E. Newman as the mascot. Is he a tangible character with interests? Like, does he have a love interest or a backstory?
You know,
that is a weird question.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to know.
Because he's such an important role, but I don't know much about him. I just know what he looks like. And I've seen him in all his different covers, but I don't know a side to him.
We'll all learn a lot more about Alfred E. Newman this season because he's running for president.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
every episode up until the election is going to feature some Alfred E. Newman for president, where he'll have campaign promises and you'll see celebrity endorsements.
Yeah.
And that'll go until the election, and then maybe even after the election, he won't realize that it's over and maybe keep running. We'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Will he speak?
No, Alfred
No.
does not speak.
And also, he doesn't have a profile. He just right to camera.
He has in the Mad Show, not on the magazine, but in the Mad Show, he has profiles and different expressions.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, in the marginals, the stuff that you do.
No, the ones that we do for the show. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he does, I guess.
Because the original thing for Bill Gaines was that Alfred was a mascot, and he was never going to change her expression. It was always going to be the same forward, and that was it, the back
Right.
and the front.
Right.
But when you do in animation, you cannot have a guy go walking and doing stuff just facing you with a stupid smile.
Sure, we do that all the time.
So we change it and we do anything. We have all kinds of expressions. We took liberties.
We let you do that.
We took liberties.
Yes, you had a question?
The style of animation in Mad TV is a little bit odd, and I was just
Thank
wondering
you.
why. Where did that come from? And it just seems so different compared to anything else.
I'd say 80% of it is budget driven.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that, but
for that.
In theory, it's the background of all the people who are in charge, because all of them had other shows, like your show, that you are very well known. You know that.
Kablam.
And that have influenced all the way they animate in the Mad Show, because I saw it and says, well, this doesn't look like the Mad magazine. Of course not, because it wouldn't work on the magazine, because this is alive.
Yeah.
So it works great on the show, and it's because of the background of the people who is doing it. You know.
We don't overly animate, that's true, but if the animation has to serve the joke, and that's all it has to serve. So it may seem odd, or it's definitely very quick, snappy kind of animation.
And it's a mix of a lot of different styles. That's really where I think the look comes from. All right. This guy's got his shades on.
How are
Cool.
you? Yeah.
I really liked your Minecraft episode. It was
What?
really funny.
Got my shirt.
Do you have any more Minecraft things coming up?
Hopefully. I mean, like I said, it has to make sense. But I would hope that we can get some more Minecraft stuff in there, especially because when we did that parody, Minecraft was still in beta, so like there weren't villagers, there wasn't all the new stuff. I'd love to do a new parody. We could reference some of the new Minecraft stuff.
We'll take the rest of this.
Cool.
out.
I have no idea what anybody's talking about right now. Great. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Okay, I've got a really important question.
Okay.
What me worry?
Yes. This guy knows his outfit.
Yeah, that's
all
good.
right.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, hello.
Hi.
Are there any movie plans coming up?
Our show is 11 minutes long, so I like to joke that the movie's going to be 15 minutes long.
Yeah. With an intermission.
You can handle it. Yeah, there's a movie coming
No,
out.
not right now. But wow, that would take a long time to do that. The way we work.
And it would be confusing because if we made a movie, then we'd have to parody our own movie.
We
and
could
I don't even know
parody
what
it
that
halfway
would be.
through our movie. Yeah.
During the credits, you
Yeah,
do the
exactly.
parody, like when they had the bloopers on the Cannonball Run movies at the end.
Right.
And then they can take us to Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when are we getting this Tahiti trip?
Yeah. That's after Italy.
Okay.
We got to do the Mad on tour.
Is that it? No more questions, really? All right.
Readjust the mic stand.
Oh, this guy's got one.
I feel bad that you're only going to
Yeah,
have
right.
to do that one more time.
Thanks a
very
lot.
good. Nah, it's a little dirty.
Follow-up question.
Oh, follow-up. See, then you're sleeping on the job.
Hello.
One thing to do is adjust that mic stand, and you messed it up for that guy.
I don't even work here.
He doesn't
All
even
right.
work here. He's just a friendly guy in the audience.
I was giving you more authority than you.
All right.
Get you a job here. And
Hi. I really enjoyed how you do TV parodies a lot. I'm wondering if you have any new TV parodies you're doing for like popular shows and stuff. There are a lot of new shows that have come out recently, and I think you could parody a lot of them.
Yeah, definitely. We have a Legend of Korra parody coming up. If anyone likes that show, it's going to be it's going to be a Legend of Dora. So I think
Come on, you could have guessed that one, guys.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to find that it's exactly what you're thinking it is. What other TV parodies? I'm all prepared with movie parodies that we're coming up with, and I actually didn't prepare TV parodies. And we're doing we have a Charlie Brown iCarly mashup. iCharlie.
That's good.
So yeah, like I said, it has to make sense. It does also pretty much have to rhyme most of the time. It does also have to rhyme. So yeah, definitely. Every episode will always have a new TV parody, and the hope is for it to always be a popular show that you want to see parodied. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
good job. Now you're on it. Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
This could be a permanent position for you here at the convention center. Very
So maybe
lucrative.
this is obvious, but do you all work in Los Angeles now?
Actually,
Or are you still in New York? Where's the Mecca?
We have a staff of about 15 animators and, well, actually 25, 30 animators and writers in LA, but we go all over Canada.
But the show is based in LA, yeah. And so
Yeah.
Sergio, too, is on the West Coast now for a while.
Well, the show is made in beautiful downtown Burbank.
Burbank.
Yeah, Burbank. All right, thanks, everybody.